The New York Times claims that Kanye West's fashion show was not art. And to them, I'm sure this is like the worst insult that you can levy at someone during this, what is a fashion show, right? It's supposed to be this conceptual idea of what was behind the creation of trends or the creation of this fashion. And so it's the highest insult to be like, that is not art. And this is what the New York Times has levied at Kanye West. But what is art? I'm not being pithy here. What is art? Art is either beauty or expression or emotion. So beauty, expression, emotion. And what is Kanye West doing here? These t-shirts that say white lives matter and black lives matter. Okay, I think we can agree it's not beauty. They're just t-shirts with screen printing on it. That's not necessarily beautiful. It is expression. It certainly is his expression. But most importantly, isn't that what art is supposed to do? Isn't it supposed to elicit emotion? And I think we can all agree that's certainly what Kanye West's art did. It certainly elicited emotion. So maybe that's what the art is. Maybe that's where the artistic aspect of Kanye West's fashion show lies. The emotion that he elicited from the left, maybe that is the art of the, I don't want to call it a stunt, but it's kind of a stunt. I don't necessarily think that the word stunt is as negative as the left wants us to think it is. So I'm fine with using it. Whether it was about DeSantis sending the migrants to Martha's Vineyard, sure, that was a stunt. Of course it was a stunt, but it's a good stunt. Same with Kanye West. Sure, this is a stunt, but it's a good stunt. It's an effective stunt. So I'm not going to let the left co-opt that word. The emotion Kanye West intended to elicit, he intended to trigger the left. And that was his art. But because the left didn't want to feel that emotion, they are accusing him of not being artistic. Some of the most prominent leftist voices, I'm talking about radical leftist voices, and black leftist voices responded. Their heads just exploded. And you have to wonder why this triggers them so much. Why their meltdown is like the wicked witch of the West screeching as she melts. This is what Jamel Hill tweeted. She said, "So many folks are trying to excuse Kanye wearing a White Lives Matter t-shirt as just a troll move or marketing. Maybe it is," she says, "but it's a dangerously dumb message to send for someone with his massive platform. I'm an off dude, but y'all go ahead labeling his foolishness as genius." Okay, so two things. First of all, I think you are a genius if you know how to elicit this kind of reaction from mainstream leftist voices. Because so often, our environment, our political environment of political dialogue is very different than it was 5 years or 10 years ago, where the left was willing to engage and willing to debate. Now the left embraces cancel culture. So they don't want to sit there and have an argument with you. They don't want to go back and forth on Twitter. They don't want to show up to a speech and ask a question. They don't want to sit on stage with you and have a polite, civil debate, even if you strongly and passionately disagree. No. The left wants you silenced and censored and canceled and ostracized if they agree with you. So maybe it is genius if someone like Kanye West is able to elicit a response from so many high-profile leftists in Hollywood, in fashion, and in politics, that not just elicit a response, but elicit a response that shows us the left's true colors. And also, why is this dangerous? What is dangerous about saying white lives matter? We're going to get to that. Mark Lamont Hill has the next tweet here, the next response. This is what he says. "Kanye West's decision to wear a White Lives Matter shirt is disgusting, dangerous, and irresponsible. Some of y'all will rush to defend him. You should ask yourselves why." Well, here's my question for Mark Lamont Hill. What about this is disgusting, dangerous, and irresponsible? Do you condone what the Black Lives Matter movement did? Do you think that the Black Lives Matter movement was a good representation of the Black community? Do you think the Black Lives Matter movement was honest? Are you okay with what Patrisse Cullors did with the money that they raised in the name of Black lives? Do you believe the premise of the Black Lives Matter movement, the narrative about police-involved shootings? Please enlighten me. Why is this disgusting? Why is this dangerous? Why is this irresponsible? I suspect I know the answer because I've spoken with Mark Lamont Hill on his show before it was canceled, in which he told me that he believed that white people are inherently racist. We were talking about critical race theory, and I asked him, I said, well, critical race theory posits that Black people are inherently oppressed and white people are inherently racist. Do you believe that? Do you believe that a white person is racist based just on the color of their skin, not on their behavior, their thoughts, their feelings? And he said, yes. And so then you look at his tweet and you say, oh, okay. Well, I see here, he actually doesn't value white lives. He doesn't think that white lives matter. He doesn't believe in equality under the law. He certainly doesn't believe that you have value based on your soul. He actually is the racist. He believes that you are less if you have white skin. Blue Alexia said, this is her tweet. She said, Kanye West making black models wear White Lives Matter shirts is the culmination of his anti-blackness and his immersion in white supremacy ideologies and methods. Disgusting. Anti-blackness. What does this phrase mean? To the left, you aren't a real black person unless you vote the way they want you to vote. To the left, you aren't a real black person unless you embrace the Marxist underpinnings of the Black Lives Matter movement. You aren't a real black person if you don't like Joe Biden. You aren't a real black person if you dared to vote for Donald Trump. You aren't a real black person if you're pro-life. You're not a real black person unless you surrender your independent thought and vote as a herd of sheep the way the white liberal politicians in Washington, D.C. tell you to vote based only on the amount of melanin in your skin. Is this not the most demeaning, the most insulting, and the most racist attitude that you've ever heard? This is how the left views black people. They actually think they have ownership of black people.